Lights, camera, action. July 28th, 1996. We had arrived. Gypsy's Cove, the Peruvian restaurant that my husband and I started, was featured on the TV show Chicagoing. We were on the map in the Windy City. It was so exciting because July 28th is Peruvian Independence Day. We did a segment on Peruvian culture, cuisine, music. It was like getting 2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert. July 28th was also the last day our restaurant was open. The same day our Chicagoing show aired. We closed on a leasing issue. That was not part of the plan. And I'm a person that likes to plan. My grandma was a planner too. I liked that about her. Still, she would remind me, Julie, sometimes plans are made to be changed. I would just cringe. You've heard, life is curly. Don't try to straighten it out. Fear less, trust more. In the early 90s, I owned and operated a restaurant with my husband, a Peruvian chef, thus a Peruvian tapas restaurant. Tapas, not topless. Gypsy's Cove. We were living the dream of entrepreneurship. There were exciting, fun times. We hired very talented artists from the Art Institute of Chicago. They painted murals on all the walls. We had the coolest Picasso-like bathrooms in the world. We had customers, they flew in from the coast in Canada just to dine at Gypsy's Cove. And why not? It was a fabulous restaurant with live music. We were known for the exceptional. Smells of garlic and spices danced in the air, while our staff, they shimmied between tables as we prepared for surprise engagements. The diamond ring was perfectly placed in a red rose, and gambas in salsa rosa, shrimp in pink sauce. The plate was passed, the question was popped. There was a moment of silence. She said yes, and then an explosion of cheers and tears and clapping from our entire staff and customers. There were some not so fun times too, like the time on a Friday afternoon when we discovered that the liquor license needed to be renewed before we opened for business that night. But ladies, we get things done. I hopped in a cab, I went to City Hall, I got in line. When it was my turn at the window, the agent told me, they're closing. All I needed was an updated legal liquor license. I got it. 2 weeks before we opened our restaurant, I gave birth to our son, AJ. Maybe not the best planning. It was about 6 months before we knew he was a bit different. It wasn't so fun going to the hospital 3 or 4 times a week for physical therapy, occupational therapy, craniosacral therapy, regular appointments to the nutritionist. But I should have had a clue. Several insurance companies denied us coverage. I thought to look at AJ's medical records. One of AJ's doctors did write down a diagnosis, a fatal diagnosis, and failed to tell us. But moms, we know. I knew my son, he was a bit different, but he was not fatal. He was not dying on me anytime soon. Now remember I told you about July 28th, 1996, the last day our restaurant being open, the same day our Chicagoing show aired, closing on a leasing issue? That came next. Guess what? Life was about to become downright curly. My husband and I, we were scared to death, but we didn't talk about that much. We had hundreds of thousands of dollars in character loans and a son with a fatal diagnosis. My response was to hit the pavement and look for a job that paid me every 2 weeks. I had experience internationally in sales, television. I spoke French and Spanish. The industry didn't matter much. One day, I walked into the IBM building. I went to visit a friend. He worked for a far-out company. Far out to me, because anything to do with the internet was in another galaxy. Now remember, this is the mid-90s. Amazon is still a privately held company. It's not a noun or a verb yet. The company I walked into needed someone to do sales and marketing in Europe. And I had an impromptu meeting with the president. Et voila, I had a job. Oh, Dios mío, he hired me because I speak French and Spanish. It's a good thing he didn't ask me about IS or IT, because I didn't know information systems from a landline. But that started my late night research on the World Wide Web. My learning curve could only go up. On the home front, you might say things were a bit curly. Mounting bills, more doctor's appointments. Did you know that the divorce rate for families with special needs hovers at about 90%? And bankruptcy within the first 5 years of having a child with special needs is high. That's before you close a business. We didn't escape bankruptcy. I remember taking the day off work to declare the great big BK. I felt like such a fraud. Anxiety attacks were almost the norm. At one point, my dad asked me, "Do you have reserved parking at the hospital?" So curly. I was going to work every day with a smile on my face after spending half the night researching something that I needed to execute that day. Just-in-time training. And there were dozens more doctor's appointments and even more unanswered questions. At one point, I ordered a video. It had to do with something called Williams syndrome. I asked my sister to watch it first. I couldn't take the first peek. She let me know, those kids, they do look like AJ. This time, we did get a correct diagnosis. What I've learned is that there is tremendous power in patience and persistence. Sometimes you just need to figure out the job or figure out the diagnosis. In 2000, I went to my first ever Williams syndrome conference, and I was excited. I wanted to meet people like my son, but I was scared. What were these unique challenges? I remember walking into the Hyatt in Michigan. We were definitely in the right place. There were a lot of kids that looked like my kid. Still, while waiting for the elevator, I completely lost it. I turned to my mom and I said, "I don't know if I can do this." This was not part of my plan. But I can tell you, I did survive the conference. I also met Teresa Doyle from the Salk Institute near San Diego. I let my son be part of a research project, and I was picking him up. She greeted me, "You have the most wonderful son." I could hardly believe my ears. I knew he was wonderful, but I had heard things like, "Your son, he'll be a dwarf. He'll need special apparatuses to walk. He'll need help eating." Wow. In that moment, she gave me hope, and I wanted a piece of it. 10 months later, I was working in Chicago for a high-tech firm. We were putting together an international deal. Consultants were flying in from both coasts. The juices were flowing. My boss, she had another idea. She sat me down for a talk and an exit interview. At first, I was shocked, but I turned it around quickly. I took it as a sign to move to San Diego. I wanted it to be in a place that offered space for hope. Teresa gave that to me. One person can make all the difference in the world. What I've learned is sometimes you'll never know the impact you have on people, whether it's opening a door or offering a kind word, in business or in life. In San Diego, we not only found hope, we found some families that had boys about AJ's age with Williams syndrome. AJ refers to his buddies as his brothers from different mothers. Or the four amigos. That's thriving. I was picked up on the West Coast by a high-tech firm and just as quickly let go after 9/11. What next? My husband, he had just finished licensing for real estate. A friend suggested I try the same industry. There was just one problem. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be in business with my husband again. In fact, I was sure my plan was never to be in business with him again. We had different styles. Moreover, there was still a lot of heartache over the restaurant. But as Grandma said, sometimes plans are made to be changed. My updated version, life is downright curly. What I've learned is sometimes you need to try something again with a different perspective. It's worked out well for us. We're a team in business and at home. In business, I lead generate. I meet people face to face, I follow up, I write personal notes. At home, he wears the spicy chef hat. We work by referral and live a good life. Yes, life is curly. Sometimes plans are made to be changed. Still, I'm a work in progress. My inner voice now whispers, fear less, trust more. I'm not cringing, I'm breathing. And AJ, he's 23 now. He's as tall as I am. He's a musician and teaching drumming. He loves to tell people about Williams syndrome. More importantly, he loves his life. He's rocking his world, and I'm rocking mine.